Hi folks, welcome in. Seven Rivers Racing here on KQEG TV. I'm Dan Dyker along with the go-kart extraordinaire, Al Losey. We're going to talk about that later in the program as we're going to pin him down to the go-kart track. Coming off a wet and wild weekend at the Crosse Speedway. Didn't get a lot of racing in. Well, we got some preliminary stuff in, but feature-wise, Hornets were the only ones to get their features in, and we're going to jump right to the videos. We've got a lot of stuff to cover here on the program today. We had the dual features, of course, running 30-some-odd cars. That track was awfully wet, Al, and the only really car that had a problem out there was Mr. Klossner in a K9. He was doing this all night long.
Actually, it was probably a good thing that he did that because he was able to stay off.
In the corner, though, because he was doing it in 3 and 4, and it was a lot more cars. It was a lot more tighter of a space, but had a couple of winners this night, and the first one out was the Trunk Monkey Caleb Miller. And the cool thing about that is not only was that his first feature win ever in a Hornet car, he had also won the Thunderstock feature the week before him.
Yeah, he's just coming on really strong here on the short track, and it's kind of fun to watch him progress here this year.
His brother Dakota, of course, is involved in quite the interesting gamut of points races at the Crosse Speedway. He is 1 point out of the regular season title for the Thunderstocks. He's 1 point ahead for the novelties, and it looks like he's already wrapped up the dash. So we may have a driver knocking down a trifecta. That's not easy to do in any class.
No, and you were talking before the show here about how that's so rare here at La Crosse. We can't remember anybody doing that.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to check with Dale Danielski. I mean, that guy is Mr. Knowledgeable. We're going to see if he knows. Feature race number 2. I tell you what, if Davey Pennell would have ran the entire Hornet season, right now he sits, I think, 8th or 9th in points.
Right.
I seriously think, of course, he got the DQ for the shocks the one night, but since then, this guy's unstoppable. He's won races from the back. He's won them from the middle. This one, I think he started about midway through the pack, and that 42 car was just unstoppable once he got through lap traffic. Davey Pennell, again, goes on to win another feature.
And we were able to see a little bit of patience there. He races Friday nights also at the go-kart track. He's kind of filling in his racing desires right now because he can't run his super late,
which we hope to see him at Oktoberfest run. And again, Pennell, if he'd had a regular season schedule, he would be up there with the likes of Steve Bornitz going for a track championship. As he's been teched, he's been dinged every single weekend. There's nothing wrong. He's just a good driver, and he's got a fast Hornet car. As you see everybody trying to hold on through the wet pavement right there. But congrats goes out to Davey Pennell. So the Trunk Monkey, Caleb Miller, and Davey Pennell feature winners last week. The only other big race we actually got in was the Thunderstock Dash, and of course this was an important one to Sparta's Dakota Miller as he tried to knock down the championship and had to do it again on a wet track. But all three, both Hornet features and the Thunderstock drivers, were all smiles. They wanted to race on the wet track.
Oh, they had to have, it had to be so much fun because everybody loves getting out on paying $7.50 to go on a slick track. Here they got to do it on a bigger track.
Yep, and they did it in style too. I mean, we had no spinouts on this one. 08 was Caleb Miller, of course. He almost got lapped by his brother in this race here, but this one pretty much nailed it down for the number 7 car for championship number 1 at the La Crosse Speedway this year. Now he's got 2 more to go for. That would be the novelty that he leads by 1, and then of course the regular season championship. So the points-wise, Tom Lethe heads into our final race points weekend before Fest with a 1-point lead over Dakota Miller. The late models, well, Todd Korsha lost a little bit of ground during qualifying to Sean Paff. By the end of the night through the 6for6 dash, Todd Korsha now has a 10-point lead over Sean Paff. And in the Sportsman, Greg Scheck got the quick time in qualifying. It's now going to be between he and Randy Humfeld. They did not get a feature in, so Humfeld's lead heading into the last regular season points before Fest is at 32. And we'll give you a complete rundown of the points here in a couple of moments. Want to remind you folks that because we did not get a full program in, we're going to be rain checking your tickets from last weekend to this weekend's races, and you got to pay $1. So that's not going to be a bad deal for an exciting night's worth of racing at the La Crosse Speedway. So again, hold on to the tickets, bring that and $1 to the Speedway for this race only this weekend. And it's a special night, so that's why they're going to give you the extra $1, because we've got the first annual late model showdown match race, which we're going to talk about as well. On the program today, talking about the late models. He's been racing out there for about 14, 15 years now. Had probably one of the nicest wrap jobs of any late model I've seen a couple years ago. Larry the Cable Guy. Would like to welcome in the Pizza King 19 driver of Mike Kennedy. Mike, how are you?
Thank you. I'm very well. Thanks for having me on.
Chance to get you on the program here, and You had taken quite some time off. All of a sudden, I think it was 3 years ago, Mike shows up at Crosse Speedway with a Larry King, or Larry the cable guy, wrapped car. There's a family connection there. We're like, who's this guy? And it took me about 9 races to actually pronounce your last name the right way, but we became friends pretty quick after that.
Yeah, we sure did. We didn't really know each other before then, and that was a good opportunity to meet a lot of new people, and it was a great opportunity overall.
I know that the first time I saw you, you were starting up front, and you were racing with Jay Sauter, of all people, up towards the front. And I was sitting there thinking, wow, this guy has some patience, because it looked like your car was quite a bit quicker. And it was just kind of fun watching someone like that. And then that's when we found out a little bit more about you. But you go back a long way.
Yeah, well, that was fun to race with Jay and all the other competitors out at the Speedway. It's opportunities I wouldn't have had before. But yeah, I've raced actually for 12 years prior, so I go a ways back. Yeah, and I retired and had a decade off, and now I'm kind of back and trying to stay out of everybody's way.
And again, Mike Koenig, it's been about 10 years before he came back to the La Crosse Speedway, and that's why he was kind of an unknown to some of the newer and younger drivers and race fans, but to the ones that had been racing there before, he became a threat. And we're going to talk about that here on the other side of this break on Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV.